Hey everyone, it's Miss Wilson. Welcome to week 4 of distance learning. For math this week, we're going to be multiplying decimals using the standard algorithm for multiplication. But before we got started on decimals, we wanted to do a quick review of using the standard algorithm for multiplication using whole numbers, because you're going to be using the same procedure when you multiply decimals. There's just going to be an added step. So we want to refresh your memory on what you learned in elementary school so you can use those skills on your assignments this week, okay? I'm going to show you two versions of the standard algorithm for multiplication. One is the expanded version and one is the condensed traditional version. There's benefits to using both, so I encourage you to use which one makes the most sense to you, okay? All right, for our first example, we have 139 times 5. Now, as you remember from elementary school, it's really important that you make sure you line your numbers up in the correct place value. Place value is super important, especially when working with decimals. So always make sure that your numbers are lined up in the correct spot, okay? So I have my 9 and my 5 in my 1 spot. I have my 30 in the 10 spot. And I have my 100 in the 100 spot, okay? When we use the expanded version for the standard algorithm for multiplication, essentially what you're doing is multiplying this number with each one of these numbers, finding those products, and then adding them up at the end. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. But what we need to do is find the products for each one of these number pairs. So I'm going to do 5 times 9, 5 times 30, and 5 times 100. And then I'm going to add up all the answers I get, okay? So, first one, I got 5 times 9. And that'll give me 45. See that? Okay? So I'm going to put my 45 right there. Again, make sure your numbers are in the correct place value, okay? I have my 5 in the 1 spot, and I have my 40 in the 10 spot, okay? Now, we're going to do 5 times 30. Okay, remember it's not 3, it's 30 because the 3 is in the 10 spot, so that means that it's 30. Okay. So when you do 5 times 30, you're going to get 150. And then you're going to put that number here. Again, make sure your numbers are in the correct place. Where you have my 0 in my 1 spot, my 5 in my 10 spot, or my 50 in my 10 spot, and my 100 in my 100 spot. Okay? Last but not least, we're going to do 5 times 100. And that will give us 500. I'm going to put that there. And then the last step you do, now that I have all my products, I'm going to add them all. Okay? So I've got 5 plus 0 plus 0, 4 plus 5 plus 0 gives me 9, 1 plus 5. So my answer would be 695. All right. Now I'm going to show you the condensed traditional version. It'll give me the same answer, but it won't have this many steps. Okay. When we use the more traditional version of the standard algorithm for multiplication, we're still going to set up our equation the same as we did for the expanded version, but rather than having all of these numbers listed below, we're actually going to be carrying numbers to make sure that everything is in the right place value. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So like in the expanded version, we're still going to start from right to left and work our way over. So I'm still going to do 9 times 5, which if you remember from the first one, that was 45. But I can't simply just write 45 here. And the reason why is because if I have that the 40 there, it's not taking into account what else can go there when I multiply the 5 and the 3 that's in the tens place. So rather than writing the 4 there, I'm actually going to not write it there, and I'm going to carry it over. I'm leaving it there for now. I'm going to come back to it. I'm not going to forget about it, okay? Because we still need to consider it in the next step, but we don't want it in the way. Now I'm going to multiply the 5 by the number that's in the tens place, which in this case is 3, okay? And when you do 5 times 3, you're going to get 15. But again, I can't just write 15 and call it good. That's not going to give me the answer that I want. We know that our answer is supposed to be 695. So again, what we have to do, we can't just write that number in that place, and we can't just write that 5 in that place either. Remember how I told you we can't forget about that 4? So what we're going to actually do is take the 5 that we got from the 15, the 5 that's in the ones place, and we're going to add that 5 with the 4 that we carried over. And that's going to give us 9. Okay? Now, again, when we did 3 times 5, we got 15. I have to carry that 1 over because I left that 5 in the tens place, and I added it with that 4 to get 9. I can't forget about that 1 that was in the tens place of the 15. Okay? Now, last up, I have 5 times 1, which will give me 5. But again, I can't forget about the 1 that I carried. So I have the 5 that I get from 5 times 1, and then I'm going to add that 1 that I carried. So that's going to give me 695, which is exactly what we wanted. In this next example, I'm going to multiply a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number. Last example, I did a 3-digit number multiplied by a 1-digit number. The procedure is still going to be the same. Your steps are just going to be a little bit longer, okay? So I still want you to set it up the same way we set up the last equation. But one thing that you have to think about when you have multi-digit multiplication is you have to multiply each pair of numbers that exist within each of these numbers. So in this case, you're going to do 6 times 9, 6 times 40, 6 times 200, but then you're also going to have to consider 30 times 9, 30 times 40, and 30 times 200. So you're going to have 6 multiplication equations or 6 products that you have to consider, and that's what you're going to add up. Okay, so I'm going to write those out real quick just so then you can see what those look like. So I'm going to do 6 times 9. I'm going to have 6 times 40. I'm going to have 6 times 200. And that's all I'm going to have for the number that was in the ones place on the bottom number. Now I have to think about all the pairs that are going to exist with by 30. Okay, so I'm going to have 30 times 9. I'm going to have 30 times 40. And then I'm going to have 30 times 200. All right, so like I said, you're going to have 6 pairs of numbers that you have to multiply, and then all of those are what you're going to add up. So let's go through, find the answers for these real quick, and that's what I can write here, okay? When you're doing this, by the way, you don't have to write all this out on the side like I am. I'm just showing you just so then you can see how I'm getting the numbers that I'm putting here. But if it helps, by all means, please write it out, okay? So 6 times 9 is going to give me 54. 6 times 40 is going to give me 240. 6 times 200 is going to give me 1,200 or 1,200. 30 times 9 is going to give me 270. 30 times 40 is going to give me 1,200 as well. And then 30 times 200 is going to give me 6,000. So all of those numbers are what's going to go over here. Okay, so I'm going to write those out real quick. Again, make sure your numbers are in the correct place value. Okay, so I've got my 54, my 4 is going to go in the 1 spot, my 5 is going to go in the 10 spot because it's 50. Okay, I've got 240. I've got 1,200. I've got 270. I've got 1,200 again. And then I have 6,000. All right. I'm running out of room a little bit, but now that you have all of those numbers, now you can add it up. All right, so I got 4 plus all these zeros, so that's going to give me 4. Looks like I've got a 5, a 4, and a 7. So 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 plus 7 will give me 16. Put my 6 down here. Carry the 1. I've got 1 and 3, 5, 7, 9. And then I've got 1, 1, 6. So I've got 8 here. So it looks like my final answer is 8,964. So again, it's a little bit longer just because your numbers are bigger, but the procedure is still the same. When we use the condensed traditional version of the standard algorithm for multiplication, especially for ones where we have 2 multi-digit numbers, it actually will look kind of similar to what we did here, because what we have to do is break apart the 6 and the 30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 249 times 6. I'm going to write my answer below, and then I'm going to do 249 times 30, write my answer below that, and then add them up together. Okay? So when I'm doing 249 times 6, I'm going to treat it just like I did in the previous example. Okay? So I'm going to do 9 times 6, and that will give me 54. But remember, I can't just write the 54 underneath. I can write the 4 because it's in the 1 spot, but I have to carry the 5 from the 54 up above into the tens place. And now I'm going to do 6 times 4. That will give me 24. Plus I have to add in the 5 that I carried over. So 24 plus 25 will give me 29. So I'm going to write that 9 in the tens place. And then I'm going to carry that 2 from that was in the tens place of the 29 above here. And then I'm going to do 6 times 2. That will give me 12. And then I add the 2 that I carried over. So 12 plus 2 will give me 14. And so we know that 249 times 6 will give us 1,494. Okay? Now that we have that part done, we can move on to doing 249 times 30. Since we are technically multiplying 249 times 30 and not 249 times 3, we have to account for the 0 that's in the 30, that's in the ones place of the 30. And the trick for doing that is adding a 0 at the end of the answer that you're going to get. So I'm going to put a 0 right here because this is where I'm going to write my answer when I do 249 times 30. But since 30 is a multiple of 3 by a factor of 10, 3 times 10 is 30, I can add a 0 because anytime you multiply a number by 10, you're going to get those same numbers with a 0 at the end. The digits just shift over a place value. Same thing if you were to multiply a number by 100, you would add 2 zeros at the end. If you multiply something by 1,000, add 3 zeros at the end, all right? And so on and so forth. So I'm going to add my 0 here, and now I can use the same steps that I used when I did 6 times 249, and then I'll add my answers up together, okay? So I'm going to do 3 times 9, that'll give me 27. So I'm going to write my 7 here, and then I'm going to carry my 2, just like I did before. And now I'm going to do 3 times 4. I'm going to get 12 plus the 2 that I carried over, so that'll give me 14. I'm going to put the 4 there. And then I don't have anything here in the thousands place, but I still got to carry that 1. So now I'm going to do 3 times 2. That will give me 6 plus the 1 that I carried over. That will give me 7. And now I can add up my 2 numbers. So I have 1,494 plus 7,470. So I'm going to do 4 plus 0. 9 plus 7 gives me 16. Carry the 1. 1 plus 4 plus 4 gives me 9. And then 1 plus 7 gives me 8, which is the same answer that we got in our other method. Like I said before, I encourage you to use a method that makes the most sense to you, and if you have any questions, let us know. Thanks, guys.